but yet here we are always addressing fighting dogs. And so, colleagues, if tomorrow there's a news article that there is a fighting dog ring, I will be embarrassed like I was just a few months ago, trying to explain to my neighbors that I guess certain things can happen. So, Mr. Chair, I'm at least one of the speakers was kind enough to say we should try and find a good resolution. And I'm wondering if that's possible.
So noted. Okay, you're wondering. Any other questions?
I'm wondering if I can bring Ryan Drabek up and ask, because...
Do you have a proposal, perhaps, that might help?
Ms. Rossetti, if I said that right, is Rossetti, is made the same request a couple times.
Chair Nelson, Honorable Board, Ryan Drabek with OC Animal Care. I just want to go back to the original opinion that was provided to you, I believe, by council when this ordinance came forward, and that was this section needed to be addressed based on the fact that it's written in the state law. I believe the motion last week was to align the ordinance specifically with state law, so that's why this is being addressed in our ordinance, nothing more.
And
so as far as a resolution, you know, within our ordinance, these dogs would be deemed a level 2, which means if they were placed from our facility, they would have to be placed with a certain level of restrictions.
And moving the fight dogs to a level 1 is unacceptable?
This is based on council's recommendation. So that is addressed under level 2 based on the recommendation of council. Under state law, dogs from fight rings are listed under the definition of vicious. So in our ordinance, they would be listed under a quote-unquote level 2.
Thank you, Mr. Drabek. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Certainly. Supervisor Bates?
Ryan, I think what's gotten lost in the discussion from when this was first introduced is there's not a lot of major changes from what we originally had. The focus was a particular instance where an individual was moving a dog that had a number of incidences with the neighbors and was almost being used as an intimidation and a lot of things going on. So we always were in the position of this kind of a dog who'd been trained for fighting or been involved. We'd need to do something in that event. So how is this any different than what we had, other than making it more clear on when a dog is declared vicious and can be removed from that classification through no additional incidences? I mean, I think there's been a lot of, maybe hype over it when we were really adding a specific provision to prevent those kind of instances that were happening out in the canyon with a particular owner and their dog, his dog.
Correct. The bulk of the changes within this ordinance were clarification regarding incidents like that. Regarding this specific provision, our current ordinance that we are enforcing today is actually aligned with the state language. So if you choose to move this item forward, it would be relatively no difference from the ordinance that we are currently enforcing in that regard. Some of the other changes that we made have been made or requested, just based on our experiences with these cases. Or with vicious dog and potentially dangerous dog cases, I should say.
That's actually what I thought. So it's become a little more specific in each category, but actually provides an owner an opportunity to ensure that their dog is removed from being classified vicious or dangerous, which I don't know we had that specific before how you did that. They would just have to appeal to you.
Correct, and I think the definitions are a little bit more specific. So with the addition of substantial injury, that was never in our previous ordinance. There's just been some additions to really clarify and not to forget that we declare dogs based on incidents that have happened. So when an incident occurs, we investigate that incident. We take into account provocation or not being provoked into that attack. And that all plays a factor into whether or not we would declare that dog Well, in this particular ordinance, level 1, level 2, or level 3. But in the current ordinance, potentially dangerous or vicious.
And it hasn't removed due process to an owner that wishes to take it from your determination on to a determination by the court.
No, the same due process still exists.
Yeah.
So they have a right to an administrative hearing. If we choose to or if that decision is upheld, then it would go to Superior Court for appeal, if they so chose.
Supervisor Morlock?
And then Mr. Drabek, we're following state law, so is the law written in such a way that you may adopt the same provisions, or are they requiring that every county have these provisions?
It's the definition within the state law is basically essentially what we have chosen to adopt in the past. We've sort of moved our definition to clarify, but there still are a lot of aspects of state law within our currently proposed ordinance.
So if someone were concerned about fight dogs and this definition, they should try to change the state law, you're saying?
I believe so.
Thank you.
Because someone can take snippets of somewhat accurate characterizations of what any of us said does not mean that any of us believe what you would like to put in our own minds. I don't have any belief that any animal can't be rehabilitated, including lions and tigers, and I mean that. I have no doubt any animal can be tamed, and I don't have any preconceived prejudice. But I really wish those of you who came with the enthusiasm to talk to us today would focus some of this energy on the people that we're trying to deal with, not their dogs. I have no idea why our animal shelter is inundated with pit bulls instead of Parson Russell Terriers that I have. I don't know. I don't even begin to suggest I know. But for some reason, the overwhelming population in our animal shelter, and if I had to guess, most animal shelters are a single breed whose owners, for reasons that are unbeknownst to me, either abandon them, kick them out. I have no idea why that happens, but it's our reality. And there's also a strange disproportionate percentage of people that are irresponsible that want to own a particular breed of dog. Not up to me. I don't know why it's cool to walk down the street with a dog in chains and all this. I have no idea. That isn't up to us. But when people's dogs misbehave, and they are not good folks like yourselves with skills that you guys have, with a network that you have, and they just want to take their dog back to their neighborhood, and they don't want your advice or mine, and they just want to let the same poorly behaved animal remain poorly behaved, yet a danger to their next door neighbor's 4-year-old, that's our problem. If we had folks with skills and volunteering for every case, we wouldn't have all those pit bulls in our animal shelter. We'd have a home for every one of them. We'd have people volunteering to do assessments. That isn't up to us. But please understand, part of our problem is, it's not that the dogs misbehave, but we have to anticipate, and we live, the fact that some of these owners misbehave. And these rules, more often than not, are for what the owner has to do and what the owner is responsible to do for the safety of other people. You know, us passing rules and regulations isn't going to change what a dog does. They don't read the rules, they don't care. It's just the way it works. We are strapped with what we're strapped with, and it's not for lack of compassion or understanding, it's trying to make sense out of chaos. Some great questions don't have a good answer. I wish I understood why certain owners acted like idiots. That's not up to us, and we're never going to solve that riddle. But with that, are there any other questions or comments? Thank you. This isn't an ongoing debate. I mean, you had your 3 minutes, sir. Do we have a motion? All right. So just so we're clear, we went through the first reading and an amendment, and we have no interest in passing this as a mark of efficiency. All right. Dies for lack of a motion in a second. That brings us to item 18. The OC Public Works, acting as the Orange County Flood Control District.